This is an infrared image shot with a converted Canon 5D camera. What I'm looking to do with this image is to squeeze as much contrast, clarity and impact into the image as I possibly can, while retaining great quality. Here's my approach in Adobe Camera Raw. This image was shot with a wide-angle lens and we're looking upwards, and that's caused the upright sides of the church to need some attention via the Geometry tab. All we need here is this option to apply vertical perspective, and it does a great job. Next, let's go to the Basic tab. From here I'm going to go to the Auto button because that's going to give us a good starting point, and then straight down to the Saturation to remove all of that because we need a monochrome image. You can see the histogram's looking pretty healthy up at the top right. I'm going to drop down the exposure a little bit more impact here. I don't want to change any of these, they're looking pretty good from the Auto setting. What I will do is to add a healthy amount of clarity, and I may add a little bit of dehaze and see the effect. Not looking too bad, but it's leaving me a little bit dark here, and light at the bottom and in the sky and the trees. That I think we can fix quite adequately with masks. I'm going to begin with a linear mask from the mask option. And I'm going to click and drag up from the base. It's the white tones I want to deal with here, so I don't want to go too far into the shadows. Drop down the highlights and the exposure. Now I'm going to deal with the dark areas, and I'm going to do that using a brush. Let's add one. There's the brush. I want to affect this area and some of this area. What I want to do is to lift the shadows and raise the exposure. So once I've adjusted those sliders there, now I can do a little bit more masking and watch how that starts to change those heavy areas. If I don't feel I'm getting quite as much as I want, then I can always go back and tweak it up a bit. You can see the difference there. Now you'll appreciate while I'm doing this I have to work fairly quick because of the 5-minute limit. What I want next is another gradient mask. I'm going to touch the G key to get that to appear as a shortcut. Dragging in from the left, down with the highlights there and down with the exposure. The right hand side doesn't look too bad at the moment, but I'm going to hit G again to do another one from the top. Don't want to come down too much onto the church. That should be okay. Again, highlights down and put in a bit of impact up at the top there. Now sometimes if you need just a little bit more impact in the sky, you can add a linear mask over the top, just at the top, or you can use a brush. We're not looking too bad here, but I've got quite a hot spot in this area. So again, shortcut keys K to bring up my brush. What do I want to do here? I want to take down the highlights here and the exposure a little bit. The flow rate of this tool is quite low, so it's measured and enables me to do this in a nice, easy manner. So anywhere I think is a little bit too bright, I can just give it a few touches to improve matters. I'm going to make my brush slightly smaller because I've got a light area there which I just want to take down a little bit. Then I'm going to touch the K key once again to produce yet another brush mask, because I just want to lighten the area on the left hand side of the church. So highlights and exposure up. I just want to lift it to make it stand out a little bit from the background. Now I think we've done a pretty good job in a very short time. What I'm going to do is to open this up into Photoshop. Now this image has opened up as a grayscale image and I need it to be RGB to be able to go to my filters, open up the knit collection, and I'm going to go into Silver Effects Pro 2. Now once these appear on screen, I know exactly where I need to go from experience. Just scrolling down a little way here. One of these two is going to be my choice. I think I'll go for this one. We can compare the two. There's the image as I created it. That's what the filter does. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Let's go down and click OK. One of the most important aspects to learn with image editing, no matter what software we're using, is to know what needs to be done to take us from this point to this point. Another important message is that editing doesn't have to be a lengthy chore. I'll see you next time.